Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Frostfront Trials. We are back again with Sinner's Nurse. We just saw SMS 4K4 versus Archon, and now they're going to be up against Eclipse here. And we'll see how Eclipse's survivors can do versus this very scary Nurse player here on the Wrecker's Yard. Two good teams, and should be a good time. We'll see how the results differ from the last game. Especially considering that one of them was a 4K4. I don't anticipate that being an average result for this killer. So we will see if this
Oh
killer.
my.
Wow. I mean, SMS is dominant though. That's the thing. Like I'm saying, 4K4 is not average result, but he is just putting in the work and getting such fast downs that it is possible that we could see something like that again. Although he doesn't have the double down he had last game, which was what halted all that gen pressure. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it again. Same Wrecker's Yard start. A chase within 30 seconds, a down within 40. I mean, SMS proven that they are a good Nurse player. They're here to play, and they have the macro to do so. Same build, why wouldn't you bring it again? You know, that Ruin Undying and Eruption as a backup, really important. SMS knows they're working this gen at once. They're going to go for a pretty blink. It gets another hit. Hitbox is going to be taking that injury. Another injury on the board, and just going to go back to our hook. But this team might be a little bit more cautious of getting caught in rotations. Quickful comes through, but the undetectable not gonna let them see that Nurse coming in spite of the comm from the player. And look at this, SMS just gonna wait out the BT. Just wants to get Frog back down on the ground again. And again, just hits him right at the end of BT. What a great second blink. I mean, this guy is playing so clean on Nurse. 3 injuries on the board, a second stage. Our tunnel out is already ready to be hooked up again. That's one gen popping, but we might see another gen in the distant future. That said, though, again, Nurse, you know, you are expected to go down, so it's not the worst thing in the world. This is recoverable, yep, and there's the second gen. We just need some good positioning from the survivors, but with two injuries on the board, it's looking a little scary, and Hitboxes goes down. SMS just sending these blinks and hitting them. Crazy predictions, just going to leave him slugged. And now Nancy's in chase at 12. We know where most survivors on the board. The only one that's not found is Given. Given's got a lot of work on their hands here. They've got to recover for this team while Nancy holds this chase.
Yeah, Wrecker's Yard is very rotation based map. And when I say that, it's essentially what I'm saying is it's all about how you as a survivor player, how you can position yourself from one side of the map to the other, and you as a killer player, how you can spot survivors positioning from one side to the other and how you can interrupt it, and how well you can interrupt it while playing your objective, right? So if you're camping a hook and you see a survivor, in the way they're rotating, if you can catch that out and get a tag or a down for it and tunnel, you're in a prime position. And now what SMS has done here is he's gotten 2 downs while that hook was happening, which is great for pressure, but it seems like he's lost sight of his tunnel out here for a moment. Now, he has good game sense, so he's probably going to find him, and he will find him eventually, but he doesn't even find him for now, doesn't even get the hit onto Given here. And it looks like this is a turning point in the game where Eclipse might actually be able to recover. They managed to hide their tunnel out. The survivors that are all injured are all grouped on that side of the map. So they could very easily just triple reset up, get everyone healed, and then have Ace play so carefully for the whole game. There's the tag on the Given. SMS going to be using that tag and that undetectable to leave chase and try to find that reset. We do see Ace prioritize for the reset for obvious reasons. And SMS, looking for that reset location, does find the Ace, which means the survivors are probably not too far behind unless this was a self-reset. There are a couple of ways to self-reset. You've got Inner, you've got Medkit, but that's going to be the tag onto the Ace. Ace not able to avoid it, not able to hide because he was spotted at Crane, and SMS just able to track down his stealthy movements. That's going to be the prediction blink coming in. Doesn't even land it though. Ace making up the time here. Frog just trying to waste as much time as possible so that these gens can hop, and that's going to be the down coming in. And that's going to be the tunnel out here at 3 gens, but luckily, they were able to delay it for a bit, so there's going to be more gen pressure for it. But Eclipse is not quite 4K'd yet. They still have a chance here. It's all going to depend on how much pressure these gens have, though. And with Ruin in play, and they're resetting, they're going to lose a bit of it, but not a whole lot. So we'll see how Eclipse can manage to hold on to their gen pressure here, and if they're going to be able to pop everything.
Yeah, I was going to say that was maybe the first big mistake we've seen from SMS all day, was maybe getting a little too hot-headed and leaving their tunnel out, but they just seemingly stumble into finding Ace edge map 10, and there's your tunnel out. We're now into the 3-1, so SMS maybe is just an enigma. I'm not sure, but they either way they get that 3-1 that they wanted, and it's like what Autumn was saying. It's going to be a lot more careful from here on out. We've got to see these survivors stealth a little bit more, hide these rotations. Nurse, not so great at covering the map, great at chase, but if you can just stealth properly, SMS has an idea that they're back here and just guesses the right rock. Gonna be full sending a prediction on the tech, and there's the double blink hits. SMS is just great at finding survivors so far, knows exactly where they want to hide. Maybe has a lot of experience on this Wrecker's Yard, a good prediction coming through. Knows Nancy wants to go to the edge map. You can tell this guy just has so much game sense on this Nurse set and this map in general. Knows exactly where these survivors want to go, where they want to walk. And one thing I want to touch up on is how much Ruin affects the 3-1 is not only are you affecting rotations heavily and sees the Ada and just gonna get an immediate tag onto her. She's in chase now, got a full set of Biblioteca, and actually does not get the follow-up blink. What I wanted to say was I need some breathing room here, but when you're in these kind of situations, when you're rotating, you're losing your gen pressure on this Ruin, but it also tells you if you don't leave early enough, the Nurse can see these sparks of you getting up the gen. So it's so crucial that you're pre-leaving and pre-calling these rotations. SMS just going to opt to finally hook hitboxes here. Maybe a little bit worried about some shenanigans here, but just going to take the hook as it is in a relatively comfortable gen lock. Nancy does get picked up at 10, so the survivors have a chance to recover and rotate out. That said, we haven't seen a reset yet. Let's see what they do now.
Yeah, that is going to be the Ruin coming out of play now, which, like you said, the 3v1 Ruin has a lot more value, so getting rid of it by then or in there is always a good thing. One of the nice things about Wrecker's Yard is depending on how the survivor's position, and now this is true for Coal Tower, but a little bit less so. Depending on how the survivor's position, it is much harder to get a slug snowball going in the 3v1 on Wrecker's Yard just because of the size of the map. It's still very possible, and catching out rotations is a big part of that. But if the survivors play opposite ends of the map, it's a lot harder to do a full 3v1 slug everyone thing that we like to see on Coal Tower a lot, or some of us don't like to see, depending on if you like watching slow-paced games or fast-paced games. That's gonna be another hook coming in here. Second hook, so still hooking these survivors, not going for the full slug. As I was mentioning, it's not always the best play on this map. We do see that the eruption is going to be in play now, though. So the survivors managed to break through both totems, and they're met with the reward of more regression. So we'll see how the survivors play around the eruption, whether they expect it or not. If they call it for their downs, it might give the killer free aura reading if they don't expect it on the first time. And that could lead to snowball, so the survivors do have to be careful. Try to predict what perk that might be. I think a lot of people will predict eruption, but another thing is sometimes when we see Ruin Undying, we don't always see eruption, because the killer is banking on the fact that those totems won't go away because of Undying and the time waste it involves. So I don't know what the survivor's going to be guessing at this moment, but we're going to be seeing the first down in a second. We'll see if they predict the eruption. There's a good chance they weren't even on gens. They were probably going for full anyway. But now they should be aware of the eruption, so they'll be able to call their downs and hopefully for them prevent their aura reading. But this hook coming into play is right next to two active generators, probably their only active generators. So these survivors need to find a way to unhook and get out of this area to pop at least one more generator. You do not want to get 4K 3'd. I mean, you don't want to get 4K at all, let's be honest, but I think 4K 3 is probably a little bit higher than is common. You definitely want to get down to 1 ideally, or 0, but two is not as bad, but three would be rough, I think.
Absolutely, could not have said it better myself. I think, if we're looking on the survivor side here, you're pretty much getting out of the question is out at this point. You just need to full recover and just try and at least get to 1 gen remaining. And the way you're going to do that is by getting proper rotations off and stealthing where you need to. That said, though, Hitbox is doing a great job to take chase where he needs to, taking the team on his back and saying, look, I got you again. I did it in the Wesker set, greeting the palette. I'll do it again with this Nurse set. Just watch me go. Takes chase all the way to the Steep 3, doing some great jiggy pathing and a great dead hard from Hitbox. Going to extend this chase. SMS just going to opt to drop it. Does not want these survivors to get any leeway. He wants to lock down this 4K3 for his team, so it's almost a guaranteed win. Reset does come on to Nancy in time. I'm wondering if that will make it speed. We'll have to see later. That's through the mending add-on as well, but now we're into this 3v1. We see healthy Nancy. SMS has an idea that Given is somewhere around there, but doesn't want to spend the time looking for them, but hold that thought, does want to, and blinks back here. Knows they were around here somewhere as Nancy most likely didn't have a way to reset herself, but no survivor found yet, so we're slowing down a little bit, but this is kind of what you want. If you're on the survivor side, you want the game to be slowed down. We were having downs way too fast. Now we have a grasp on the game. The game's in their control from here on out. It's just for them to operate well.
Yeah, fantastically put. And something I do want to note from earlier, I know this happened a little while ago, but Hitbox's Dead Heart was extremely impressive to me because that is a EU player on SA ping. So that's just something I wanted to point out was he Dead Hearted pretty early and still managed to get it. And even from my own experience, as an NA East player versus SA, and even versus NA West sometimes, like even the Dead Hard versus Nurse can be kind of tricky because either you pop it too early and it's completely weighted out, or you do it too late and you slide on the ground. It is a very hard timing, so I just think that that's very impressive, and I wanted to note that. But anyway, Hitboxes is back on the hook. We're still at 3 generators, but likely Hitboxes died pretty far away from this corner gen over here. Depending on how the survivors play this, I think that they might actually be able to pop that gen. And it's going to depend on where survivors die from here on out. If they manage to get some okay progress on it and everyone dies towards this side of the map, they should be able to pop that. And in the current situation, I think popping 1 gen is kind of the ideal, like at least, they're probably saying at least play for the 4K2
Wow.
at this point. Really good rotation prediction, catching out the survivor. Oh, does mess up the first blink a little bit. I think they accidentally let go of their mouse button. So Nancy's going to get a bit of distance. And I think at this point, the fact that Nancy didn't pull there indicates to me that all they need is time to pop that gen. They're just completely committing for 4K2 right now. They're not too worried about anything else, because if she pulls there, they waste even more time. But I think here, they just want to get as much distance away so that there's no risk of like leaving and going to this gen here. So it's really going to come down to this final moment here, these final seconds. If the survivors, if they're banking on this, can they pop this? If they don't pop this and they're not on the gen, they are on the gen
They
now.
get
And
it.
it looks like they're going to get it. That's going to be the pop coming in, and that is a huge deal. Going from 4K3 to 4K2 doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a massive difference in the win condition that your killer has to meet, or at least the tie condition. It is now much more doable. I'm never going to say it's ideal to get 4K2, but it is much better than the 4K3 by a very large margin. That's going to be the down coming in. That's going to be the 4K2 from SMS, but excellent play from Eclipse, realizing the limits of what kind of result they can get and just truly playing into like, okay, it is unrealistic for us to get outs here. Let's play for 4K1. Okay, the 4K1's looking a little unrealistic. Let's fully go into the 4K2 here, and that is exactly how they did it. Managing it's basically risk management, right? How much reward can you get for how little risk? And they just kind of went for it, and they got the 4K2 out of it. So
Yeah, it's so
not
crucial to be able to keep a level head there. I see a lot of teams where it just gets a little overwhelming. You've got all these resets to make happen. Suddenly you've got 2 people on the floor, and you're just in a situation where I don't know how to recover. And it takes a strong leadership, a strong in-game leader to tell you, all right, we'll be fine. Let's just get 1 more gen. And it is absolutely true. If you're getting 4K3, well, you're asking your killer player to get a 4K4. So a 4K3 is a lot more feasible, although still quite a daunting task. So Nurse Wrecker's Yard, we've seen it before. 4K3 is feasible. That said, though, off of Sinner's previous performance, we know this team is no slouch, especially when it comes to a Nurse set. So we'll have to see how Eclipse's killer player responds. I'm very interested to see the kind of build they bring and what kind of blinks they're going to be putting up against Sinner's survivors. But we will be back with you to see if they can meet that. Stick around for more Frostfront Trials, GrindhouseDBD.
Hello everyone, welcome to the second round here between Sinners and Eclipse. We've got hitboxes on the Nurse versus Sinners Survivors. Now, Sinners Killer managed to land a 4K2, which is a very rough result for the Survivors to try to beat, or for the Killer to try to beat here. Survivors need to pop 4 gens to take this win, and Hitboxes has definitely got his work cut out for him. Something I'd like to point out though, this is going to be a very different build than what we've seen so far from the Nurses. So obviously Eruption and Corrupt, somewhat staples here. We see Leverage and Gift of Pain, and so this is something interesting, and does bring in a point I'd like to make. But first, I want to hear Georgie's thoughts on this, and then and then I'll speak a bit more on it. What do you think of these 2 perks in general, or just these 2 perks on Nurse in this set? Like, what do you think this will manage to do for him?
I think this kind of perk setup tells me Hitboxes wants aggression, aggression, aggression. If you look at these perks, Leverage is, I kind of like to nickname it the reverse will make it. Good hit tag onto Gustavo is going to find him injured in this corner 3. Leverage, it really reduces your heal speed, and then on top of that, you've got this Gift of Pain to add on top of that, so it's going to be punishing resets. I think Hitboxes wants to try that style of not tunnel out and just running around the map, being aggressive here, trying to catch rotations and keeping pressure on the board. Basically, this just has a build that compels survivors to stay injured. That said, though, it's kind of up in the air on how it's going to work out. I'm very curious what Hitboxes is attempting to do here.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is not a build that you're going to want to really camp with. So I think hitboxes are definitely going to be leaving the hook and trying to pressure gens. Gift of Pain, it's like, oh, if you get reset, now you're slower on gens, so that's another reason to not tunnel them. But, you know, as you said before, it's rough to not tunnel someone out. So if you're fully committing into this playstyle from the moment there's 4 survivors, you're committing to no tunnel out. So maybe he'll go for the tunnel out and then play it in the 3v1. We'll have to see, but that being said, we're still in this game, and we're at 3 gens now for that first pick, which is very big news for Sinners. They have to pop 1 more gen for their tie condition and 2 more for their win condition. They managed to get the unhook across the map from hitboxes too, so obviously Gift of Pain and Leverage are going to be coming into play here, but you know, these survivors, they're just going to keep dying over here and working gens the opposite side of the map. They don't even have to worry about 3 gen. They don't have to worry about any of the gens over here, so they can just kind of keep dying over here. Not that there's really a tight 3 gen over here, but they can just die in the same spot over and over again and just pressure all the other gens, and it still is fine for the 4K1 win con, which is, you know, it may seem like a small thing, but that is a big deal. That is a big deal. To just be able to die in one spot over and over and over again and not really worry about rotating away from it after an unhook. This gen has pretty decent progress, though. Still high progress game here, and Hitboxes is going to just be slugging Gustavo and going for Ace, Jason. Gustavo's going to get picked up, and all of a sudden Hitboxes is losing. It's just all the pressure is just slipping through his fingers right now.
This is the struggle, though, with Nurse. I mean, when you bring a kind of aggressive build like this, you have a high-tier team, and then you have a mid-tier team. And teams like Sinners, where they're just not going to allow you to just run around the map and be a global presence like this, although that was a really good blink by Hitboxes. They're going to pre-leave you. They're going to be pre-rotating as you're coming over. So this kind of hit-and-run strategy, it's just going to falter, I feel like, because you just cannot capture enough distance to get these quick tags. I mean, look, he already had to go all the way to corner 7 to down Sweet Child there. And yes, he did get the down, but in the meantime, Gustavo gets picked up. We were waiting out the supposed DS, and yes, he's reset with Gift of Pain, but beyond getting Gift of Pain on all 4 survivors here, I'm not sure how there's an entrance back into this game for Hitboxes. Leverage only does so much, and there's the 2nd gen popping. I'm thinking we're seeing a little bit of a collapse. I just need Hitboxes to just breathe a little bit and recapture, recompose. But it might be too far gone at this point. I'm not sure if there's a holdable gen left for him to play. 4K2 is a high task with only 1 stage remaining, and another juke from Sweet Child, and there is the final gen. 4K1 met. We were talking about it, and for me, this game just comes down to Sinners. This team's macro, they are not going to allow you to run around and get 2 slugs at once. They're not going to allow you to just run around and get injuries freely. They're going to pre-leave, they're going to die in the right spot, and they're going to get the gens done where you're not. And this is why Nurse is what I call a defensive killer, not a run around the map and kill everyone killer. You know, you want to hold something, get that hook, hold the gen lock. You want to defend something, stop rotations from happening. And now it's all in Sinner's control.
Yeah, they've already met their win con, and they get the instant unhook. Hitbox has to travel across the entire map to try to down someone. It is a rough position to be in if you're Hitboxes. I mean, Sinners just held this game in the palm of their hand for the entirety of the game. They kind of never had a moment where the scale was tipping on the other end. Even their first chase warranted essentially 2 gens, so just from the very beginning, they were very much in a strong position. And now Hitbox is having to recover for any kind of result. That's going to be the pallet coming down. Again, cross ping and still getting that is pretty cool. Hitbox is trying to get this hit on the Jason. Does get the tag now. Can potentially convert this into a 2-tap, which would be exactly what Hitboxes needs to get any amount of pressure back. But with 4 survivors alive and the gens being literally across the map from each other, it's going to be very hard to. And that's going to be the pop gen. I wouldn't be surprised if that gen were tripled at this point. And they have a gate right there too. It is just not in Hitbox's favor in this moment. Even if he hooks Wee Jason and blinks all the way over there, I think that gate will still open. And the survivors can just leave and take their 5 stages if they want to, which I'm sure is what's going to happen here. Hitbox is, though, looking just to see if anyone else maybe rotated towards Unhook, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. Sinner's opening the gate and just going to be taking their leave, and that's going to be the 5 stages coming in. Another win today from Sinners versus Eclipse here.
So difficult. We've seen Hitboxes has been a great Nurse player. They have a legacy on Nurse. They are not a bad player by any means. I feel like this is just one of those situations where you play into a hard win con, you maybe overthink a little bit, and you get a result that looks really, really rough, and it's not through any fault of, the matchup or the player just having a bad day. It's just, I feel like it's a, misjudgment of the way to go about that game, and just unfortunately playing into a really hard win con. So Hitboxes does not take the win for his team there. But man, talk about Sinners. That team is a Nurse deviance. That team knows what to do with Nurse. They have it mastered on the Nurse side. On the Nurse side, they have it mastered on the serve side. I would be surprised if any team gives Sinners a Nurse set past this, because this team is looking unstoppable on that. Likewise, though, very well played from both teams, and we appreciate both of them coming out. I'm not sure if that's Sinners' last game for this today.
It is, because we have one more matchup for Group
Okay.
A here. We have
Right.
I think it's Archon versus Vicinal.
And does this determine anything, this matchup?
Yes, so for now, from our standings, it looks like Sinners has confirmed that they are going to be continuing through qualifiers. This next matchup, so Archon and Vicinal, the winner of this game is going to be the team that goes forward. This is the deciding game for the other team. So only one of these teams is going to make it through. So this is a very intense match for both these teams. It's going to be extremely exciting. And it is our last game of Group A before we enter Group B and see 4 completely new teams for complete total diversity of players. So hopefully you guys stick around for this next really exciting match, and also for Group B, which has a lot of really excellent teams in it as well. So yeah, please stick around. We'll see you guys soon for this next game. We're just setting it up now.